Off-market, pre-market has exploded. There are properties trading that are not on realestate.com.au and Domain. How do you get them? What are the hot tips? Stay tuned. We're going to tell you.
Oh, well, off market. We call it pre-market, but I tell you what, it's a big deal these days. I reckon there's more properties being transacted off market than there are on the portals. Sorry to say, guys, but I did call it about 3 years ago.
Yep.
I said that it was going to be a thing and everyone was like, you're joking, aren't you? You're never going to be able to mess with these big real estate portals with the juggernauts. And the intention was never there to do so, was it?
Never.
No, it was never there to do so.
But Lisa, I remember we were in the office. We had a sales meeting. We're all round table, and we're like, we need to have a word for it because off market is not the word. And we had this big. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. Where there was 8 salespeople sitting there going, "Hang on a sec, there's something happening." The process of whacking it onto realestate.com, whacking it on Domain, and praying is gone. There is business being done prior to that. And I love when you say it's, what's the professional saying? It's perfection. It's not, there is a period where an agent, before they put the property on the market to realestate.com and Domain and have it perfect, the photo's perfect, the property's styled and everything, there's a period before which we in our sales team said we called it pre-marketing or pre-market, where it's not perfect. You have not giving your buyers the best video on Facebook or the best photos on Facebook, Instagram, our database, but it's just exploded that portion of the market. It's rapid.
It's more than that, though. So not only is it instant, right, to be able to get something on social media, let's say, for instance, but I just want to draw back for a minute, Mark, to off-market, because it's not a word that we use. We actually completely reinvented the word and said, you know what, it's not off-market, because if it's got a signboard and if it's gone onto social media, it's actually pre-market because it's out there, but it just hasn't made it to those big real estate portals. Or pre-portal, thanks, Anmol. But the reality is, Mark, there was a necessity for it. So I saw it coming into sales. I was a fresh set of eyes and the new kid on the block 3.5 years ago when I decided to jump headfirst into real estate sales. And I was like, hang on a sec, what's going on here? There's, what do you mean you've only got these big paid marketing campaigns? What about if people don't want that? Because if we actually just took a step back and listened to what it was that the people wanted, the consumers, the customers, a lot of them were saying, look, I don't want the ticker tape parade. If you've got someone on your database, guys, bring them through my property.
That will pay X. There's my dream figure.
Yep, absolutely.
We can do it without the palaver.
Yeah.
Now, this is a live show, guys, so I'd love your comments. You got to be on Novak Facebook to comment. Love your comment. Love your feedback. How's it going for you, the pre-portal or the off-market, as a buyer, as a seller?
Yeah, interested.
There are agents watching as well.
Super interested to know how it works, because so for us, guys, we started out building up a whole social media strategy around it. We were going, okay, if you don't want to, as a buyer, if you don't want to go on and find it on realestate.com or Domain, we will showcase it to you instantly before it goes on there. Just follow us on our social media. But I'm keen to know, Mark, what happens to the agent that doesn't have the social media following, yet is still transacting these properties off market?
They don't know the difference.
But how are they doing it? They must have a hell of a strong database to be able to do that. And as a buyer, I'm interested to know, guys, if you're a buyer out there and you are desperate to buy property and you're one of these people that is saying, Lisa, there's no stock on the market, therefore I'm not selling because I don't know where I'm buying, where do you go to find these off-market properties? Because I know we've got tons of them on our social media.
A lot.
What's the rest of the industry doing?
And why are agents doing it? Like, why are, I'm sure if you're a buyer out there, you're thinking, what is this? Why can't you just put it onto realestate.com.au? Why can't you just put it onto Domain?
Yeah.
And I'll just go look there. Why has this big market been chiselled out? And by the way, while we've been chiselling out this pre-portal market or this off market, doing a hell of a lot of business that way for clients, we're going to tell you why in a sec. But buyers agents have been doing the same thing.
100%.
Probably even before agents started, because buyers agents were out there trying to sniff the deals before they hit realestate.com.au and domain.
Yeah, correct. So, okay, let's just draw back. So where's the appeal there? Because I want to drill right down on this. Where is the appeal there for vendors? Helen, sorry, I'm having a little giggle. Are we husband or wife or brother and sister? God, do I look like Mark? Like, do we look alike? Maybe we've been married too long. We are definitely husband and wife. Definitely husband and wife.
And if you're confused, that's Mark and I'm Lisa.
That's right. So why are vendors doing this? Okay, so I feel like I truly do know the answer. Again, because I started to do the whole social media selling away from the real estate portals 3 years ago, because I figured that there was no other option out there for vendors. So a real estate agent would say, Mr. or Mrs. Vendor, give me a big hefty amount of money and I'll go test the waters for you. Then if you don't want to sell, I'm so sorry, but there's no refund on that money.
So it was 5 or 10 grand. So to hit
Mark, sorry, that's not, wait a sec. That's Northern Beaches. You go ask an Eastern Suburbs agent how much their marketing is.
20 grand.
I've got many friends. We've got a friend selling in the East at the moment.
Yeah.
He's been whacked for 20 or 30 grand in marketing.
Yeah.
Right? That's a lot of money.
And I think also you may, when you're selling a property, you may actually not know, maybe a unique property where you don't actually know where the price is positioned. So you're thinking, you know what, I don't want to go through that exploration of dumping 5, 10, 20 grand on an auction campaign and not even be close to what I'm hoping for. So the pre-market or the off-market was a great way for people just to get their toe in the water, feel out price. I loved calling it price discovery. So it was for a seller, they got that price discovery to go, wow, okay, well, you know what, if I can get that number, you then may go, let's do the auction and spend 5, 10, 15. Or you may go, you know what, if I can get that figure right now, I'm just going to do a deal.
Yeah. But hang on, it's more than that, because let's just have a look at a listing I've just signed up. Just signed up a beautiful apartment on the Northern Beaches in Sydney where we're based. And the vendor said to me, Lisa, I do not want to go to auction. I do not want to pay for marketing. He was very clear about that. He said, if you've got someone in your database or you've got someone there on your social media, that is the only way I want to do it. I do not want to take this property to market, because if we don't get our $2 million plus, we're not selling. We're just going to go back to living our happy life here in our property.
And that's why sellers are doing the pre-market at the moment, because some of them just don't subscribe to
They're
that
just
campaign.
price-driven.
Now, we don't mind either way as real estate agents. If people want to bang out marketing dollars, great. If people don't want to whack out marketing dollars, great. Because we've got both sides covered, and you could almost do a double barrel shotgun. You can fire one barrel and see how you go.
Okay, so let's drill down even further. So it comes down to a couple of things. Why are vendors doing or finding off-market or pre-market so appealing? It's giving them choice, which they never had before, right? It's giving them that choice, and it is giving them individualization and the flexibility that they never had before in the real estate market. Because the agent would say, Mark, you give me $10,000 or $20,000, I'll go test the market for you. And they said, hang on, I do not want to sabotage my property in the event we don't get the price we want. And we want to put the property properly on the market in 12 months' time. I don't want that campaign sabotaged.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So it's giving them that choice.
They're just worried about their property. If they hit and miss, it's a public hit and miss. So they'd rather talk to buyers, pre-market, pre-portal, off-market, whatever you want to call it. And just see, and then they're going to go, okay, after that, at that point we release the property, or at that point we go hard, we go into an auction. But that's good. And you know what's really funny? People don't want the neighbours to know. No. It's really weird as an agent. Like people go, I don't want a signboard at the front because I don't want the neighbours to know. It's like when you have like 8 agents turning up, showing buyers through a couple times a day all week, they're going to work it out anyway. But that's people's choice.
Look, it's also a very nice, easy transition for a lot of vendors into selling. All right. So I've got tons of vendors. I mean, look, guys, 70% of my stock is sold. I call it pre-market. The rest of the world might call it off-market. 70%, right? These are not figures to be meddled with. These are vendors that have come to me and said, Lisa, don't want to go onto realestate.com or domain, don't want to go to auction. They're their instructions, right? And then we came with this awesome package that we were able to offer them that said, that's fine. You know what? 70% are transacted away from the portals, not cheaply. All right. We've got great money for all of these properties. Let's go that way. And then sometimes, not always, but 30% of the time, these properties don't get transacted away from the portals, or I feel, Mark, that I can get them more money by getting them onto the portals. And that's been the case, you know, a number of times. Where I've said, just wait a sec, guys, there's more money out there. Let's take a few $1,000s. Let's get you onto the real estate portals. I believe we can make you more money.
Okay, so we've discussed pre-portal, we've off-market, pre-market, all three are the same ish. We've discussed with sellers why sellers are doing this. Now let's give buyers some hacks, and let's talk about why buyers are doing this. Helen's got a great comment here. I guess it depends on how many cashed up buyers you have on your database. Awesome. Let's have a talk about that, because now let's go over and switch it to the buyer's perspective. I've got a very close friend of mine selling a property at the moment in the eastern suburbs, which was great because I'm removed from that area. And he said, mate, what do I do now? Because I'm looking on realestate.com and domain, just about to sell. I'm going to he's going to auction in a week. He's going to be sold in a week. He said, how do I start prepping to buy stuff? Apart from the obvious, going onto the portals, which was a really good one. So, my advice to him was...
Look, what was that?
You want to talk for me?
No, because I don't know what you're going to say.
My advice to him was, and this talks a little bit about Helen's comment here about databases, was when I was talking to my friend who is selling at auction at the moment and he's preparing to buy and he doesn't want to miss any opportunities out there, I said, you have to contact the lead agents in the area. Don't flick them an email, call them. Call the lead agents in the area. You're going to meet them in open house by appointments as well. But I said, call them and talk to them. Let them know your honest situation, exactly what you're after, and let them know that you are ready to move to buy something. I said, don't tell them it's subject to selling. Tell them you're ready to go. Tell them you're prime. Tell them exactly what you're after. Again, because they may have that client that is not on the portals yet. He's not on real estate.
Correct.
He's not on domain. So that's a bit of work for some. That's a bit of work for a buyer to get on the phone to 10, 15, 20 agents, but it's worth it.
I'll tell you why it's so appealing to a buyer to buy something that's off-market or pre-market, that's away from the real estate portals, right? Whatever you want to call it. Because everyone wants something that no one else can have. So it's extremely appealing when an agent says, hey, listen, Mark, I've got a great property. You mentioned to me that you're looking for an apartment up to $2.5 million. Here's what I've got. It's not on the market yet, but here's what I've got. Do you want to get through and see it first? And you go, yeah, absolutely. All right, but I'll just let you know, you'd have to move quite quickly. These vendors do want a quick, quiet sale, but, there'd be a number of people that would be interested in this. I can guarantee you, and I know for a fact because I make a living out of this, I can guarantee you that you will overpay for a property to stop it in its tracks from heading to the real estate portals or out to auction.
Convenience.
People
pay. If you can collect straight away, grab it straight away, jump on it straight away, you will more often than not pay for the privilege. That may be more than anyone in the marketplace, and that's why there's these deals being done pre-market, because they're not necessarily low prices for sellers. They're for a seller. It's there. Two, it's they see it as very good value. It's a little bit like selling a property prior to an auction, because
it happens all the time.
It happens all the time.
You
just know that is a great offer.
Yep, correct. So, guys, if you're a buyer and you're watching this, and I hear it time and time again, where buyers are saying, "There's nothing around, Lisa. There's nothing on the real estate portals." Please listen to this advice. Perhaps you are looking in all the wrong places, because I can tell you now, if you go to the sold section of realestate.com and domain, it paints a very different picture to what's going on in the market than if you actually go onto the for sale section of realestate.com and domain, because those portals allow agents to put the sold properties up there. I can tell you now, there is a lot of property being sold, and if you're a buyer, you may very well be looking in the wrong places. So, Mark, where do they look? Where do the buyers look?
Can I just reframe that for a second?
Yep.
It costs in the order of $2,000 to $3,000 to place your property on realestate.com.au for sale.
Yep.
Okay. So in our core area, say DY, there may be 50 new properties coming on the market on realestate.com.au. Now, you're looking on realestate.com.au in the sold section, and there was 100 properties sold when you only saw 50 come on. The reason why is agents for free want to advertise the sales.
Yeah.
Realestate.com.au will naturally, the ones you sell on realestate.com.au as an agent and DY will hit sold. But the ones you have not sold on realestate.com for free,
will allow you to do
we can whack them on.
Yep.
So you're probably looking at realestate.com going, man,
I never even knew about that.
I didn't even see that one.
I didn't know about that. I would have bought that one.
Yeah, because 70% of your properties, for instance, Lisa's properties, she's uploading to realestate.com, sold. People are going to haven't even seen that on realestate.com. You should know that.
But can I just say, I have got I don't have the upper hand. It's probably the wrong way of putting this, but I saw it happening 3 years ago and started to build my social media channels. I'm sure most people that are watching understand what I'm talking about. All my properties first go onto my social media. If you're following my social media, if you're a buyer, you get the benefit of actually being able to see and potentially buy property before it even hits those real estate portals. But Mark, let me ask this question.
Yeah.
You're a buyer. You're not following Lisa Novak. You're not following Novak Properties. You don't want to buy on the Northern Beaches. You want to buy up on the North Coast. How do you find out about these properties that are off market? How?
Contact the lead agents in those areas, the lead agencies.
Agreed.
Let them know exactly, a bit like my friend that I was talking about, Ed, right? I was saying, Ed, you got to contact your agents in the area because there's some that are not going to hit REA, there's some that are not going to hit domain or sale. You need to actually get on the phone.
Absolutely.
Or follow them on the ones that are active on socials.
A lot of agents are now putting a lot of their off market stuff. Sometimes too little, too late. They're putting the solds up. They're actually not letting buyers know in advance. But that's what you need to be doing, guys. If you're a buyer and you want to be buying something before it hits that real estate market, you've got to be contacting the agent in the area. Must. That is an absolute must. Get onto their database. It definitely does work.
Lise, why are you putting stuff on social media first? I call it Phil, Facebook, Insta, LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Why are you putting stuff on Phil first before realestate.com.au? Is that tactical? Are you trying to trick people?
No.
Is it convenient or what? Because I know you've got the saying out there where you said perfect. Is it perfect takes time? What is the saying that you use?
Yeah, perfection takes time. But I can have a property onto social media instantly, just warts and all, walking through, doing a live authentic video. As soon as I've got that agreement and contract to sale, I've got that property onto my social media instantly.
But it's not perfect.
All right? No, it's not perfect. And the buyers, they don't care.
It doesn't have the right lighting. It doesn't have sometimes it's being painted.
They don't care.
You've got it sometimes it's being painted and carpeted. And
Like I've sold half built properties that were ready at settlement.
Yeah.
That sold pre-market or off-market.
Yeah.
All right, and the buyer paid a premium price. Listen, make no mistake here, guys. I know we've got a multitude of people watching. We've got real estate agents, we've got buyers, and we've got sellers.
Yeah.
Real estate agents, make no mistake, these properties are not selling cheaply. Why would any vendor or any real estate agent want to sell someone's property cheaply? If I feel there is more money to be made, I simply take a few $1,000s and get the property onto the real estate portal and take it to auction sometimes, right? The strategy must be fluid, depending on what the needs of the vendors are and what the market is doing at the time and the agent's experience. It's very important, all right? Very, very important. But it's a big thing now, market. It's not changing. It's not a fad.
But again, I'll go back to auction. You have to be an experienced agent in an auction campaign to know that is the best price in week 2 and to recommend to the owner that they should sell the property at that price before you get to the auction at week 4. It doesn't. Sometimes agents will be taking property all the way through to auction and selling it for less at auction than what an offer came in prior. So there's got to be experience. There's got to be gut feeling. You called it being fluid. You got to roll with the roll.
What about this? I've sold many properties within 24 hours. I sold a property once in 2 hours. Someone saw it on my Facebook. I hadn't even gone through the property. I was out on the footpath. They saw it. They said, that's exactly where we want to be buying. Can we come down right now? I said, sure. Took them through the property. We had the property sold unconditionally within 2 hours. They overpaid for the property. They knew they were. The vendor said, Lisa, if you can get, and this is going back at 2.5 years ago, the vendor said, if you can get me 2.65, I'm out tomorrow. I got them 2.85 within 2 hours. So, again, if you, if you've just got to listen to what it is that the consumers want. But, Mark, again, I think it's very important to note that this is clearly what the consumers want. Buyers are happy to overpay to stop a property in its tracks.
They will.
Going forward.
They will.
And vendors do not always want the ticker tape parade. I've got some vendors that say, look at my last 20 sales. I reckon 5 of those went all the way through to auction. Old school, not interested in doing off market, want an auction campaign. Fine, absolutely.
Now, before we go, beautiful people, this is a live show. So you feel any comments, make sure you're on Novak Facebook to make the comments. We can publish them on the screen right now.
Yep.
Bjorn's got some comments here, and it looks like a cracker. It's a bit to read there, but it's important. Thank you for your time for writing this, Bjorn, and anyone feel welcome. Realestate.com is becoming obsolete. That's why realestate.com is simply there to boost agents' profiles. Simply Premier All is the biggest ripoff ever. Facebook targeted marketing far outweighs realestate.com. Example, 21 REA inquiries versus 131 Facebook targeted marketing inquiries. Buyers are paying 5 to 8% premium on 500K on homes through socials. That's what you found. So Bjorn, obviously you're a real estate agent.
Yeah.
That's great feedback. Good experience from your market there.
Really.
What do you reckon about that comment?
Okay. So look, again, I think it's important, guys, and obviously I know social media works. I was talking about it 3.5 years ago. I stood on a stage in May this year, Mark, and spoke about my whole pre-market strategy to 3,000 real estate agents.
Yes.
Absolute honour. I got up on the ARIC stage and spoke about it.
Yeah.
But, if we rewind 3.5 years ago, I do believe that, the industry was laughing at me when I had sold my very first property off Facebook. Who sells property on Facebook, right? 3.5 years ago. Now, we fast forward 3.5 years forward, and here I am standing on the ARIC stage training agents and teaching them about this strategy. Bjorn, I agree with what you're saying. I don't think, though, that there is a one-size-fits-all for every single vendor, agent or seller. So just be careful as well as a real estate agent that you don't cut yourself out of listings either. You've got to make sure that you are reading the play with your vendor. I just sold a property, Mark, for an 86-year-old vendor, a property that was an original 1902. The family were extremely attached. Now, had I have gone to the family and said, I'm going to sell your property on social media, that wouldn't have gone down too well. So just make sure you're reading the play. I understand what you're saying. Trust me, I do. Yeah. I believe what you're saying. Trust me, I do. But you've got to make sure that you're being all things to all people.
Yeah.
There is a huge place in real estate for realestate.com and domain. I use the portals often if I feel there is more money to be made there for my vendor, or if I feel that that's what my vendor needs. It's very hard to sit in front of an 86-year-old vendor, as I said, and tell them you're going to sell their property on social media. Do that anyway. But in addition to that, they always, I find, want to do the full auction style strategy.
Again, we're going to read the play because Bjorn, great feedback. Love the comment.
Me too.
I do find sometimes clients, as an insurance policy, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
As an insurance policy, they'll bang out 2.5 Gs on realestate.com.au just so they know.
Yep.
but everyone's different. Now, we, like you said,
Yeah.
70, so beyond Lee's doing 70% of deals that way, absolutely. But there are those 30% where they just want the insurance policy to know it's on there.
And Bjorn, can I just give you a tip as well, just from an agent to another agent that's doing a lot of this? Often if I'm sitting in front of an elderly vendor or an old school vendor that just wants to do all the bells and whistles, then that's absolutely fine. But anyway, I'll get them onto social media because I can get them on there instantly. So while we're prepping the property and painting it or, whatever it is that we need to be doing, getting it styled or waiting for the photographer, that stuff is slow. I can have it straight out to my social media, start to bring the buyers, get the intel and get some great advice on price. So by the time I launch it out to the real estate portals, I know exactly where I'm throwing the dart with price.
Okay.
All right.
So off market, unveiled, stuff you need to know about buying, selling this way. In summary, tonight we've covered sellers, why they're doing it, pre-market, off-market, pre-mortal, portal. We've covered buyers. What are some of the nuggets? So for sellers, can we start there?
Yep. So for sellers,
discovery process.
Discovery process. If they're just completely price driven. So if they just say, "Look, Lisa, you can get me $2 million. We're selling tomorrow." It's a nice slow transition. It's a great way for them to test the market without them having to spend $5,000 to $10,000 on marketing. And most of them don't want to at that stage. These are vendors that are only driven by price. It works an absolute treat. All right. And it also gets them used to the process. Because I'll find, Mark, often they'll say, "Look, you don't give me $2 million, we're not selling." But once we're a week in, if we haven't sold, once we're a week in, they're like, you know what? Let's do the whole thing. We're actually invested now.
So one thing I want to entertain, good day to Tracy. Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
One thing I want to entertain is what Helen said. Now that we've given the nuggets away on the selling, Tracy's saying, well, it depends on how many cashed up buyers you have in your database. And it's a good point because when you're choosing an agent to sell pre-market, pre-portal, off-market, whatever you want to call it, you've got to make sure you're choosing the animal agent that's got weapon social media going, weapon buyers in that database. Often agents that sell something in the area get the next listing exactly off the back of what Helen said because they've got the buyers ready to go on the database to introduce to the next property. So we had a property in Mountavale we just sold, which is a couple of suburbs away from DY, $3 million. 3 clients out of the woodwork. Can you sell our $3 million property? It's a good match to know you've got the right database.
Guys, don't forget, agents that are watching, don't forget if you don't have a strong social media profile, don't forget your good old-fashioned stuff. I love a signboard, Every time I do an off-market or a pre-market, as long as the vendor allows, and 99% of the time they do, because I include that for free for them, we get a signboard out the front of the property, all right? Once it's sold, I love to tell the story. So I'll go wrap the board and talk about price and how quickly it's sold, and I'll tell the story about it. Don't forget that. And letterbox drops. Don't forget letterbox drops, guys. If you've got a listing and you don't feel that you've got those buyers, don't forget to do your good old-fashioned letterbox drops. They work.
And before we go, the buyer nuggets, so telling the advice to buyers, contact your 10, 15 leading agents and agencies by phone. Tell them you're hot and you've got $500,000, $1 million, $1.5 million. You are ready to go. Go back to a good old phone conversation with these guys and get on their database because they are trading properties. They are trading properties that are not on REA and domain, and you missed it. So you've got to contact them.
Follow social media. That's a big thing.
And follow them.
These days, most agents have got some sort of a social media profile. Follow the social media. At the very least, they'll just put a photo up of an off-market or a pre-market. But make sure that you're following agents' social media as well. But yes, it's a big thing. It's here to stay, thankfully, because I called it 3.5 years ago. People thought I was bonkers. But I did see something there. We all did, didn't we, Mark?
It was a bit witch doctor-ish.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
Yep. But the reality is, listen to what the people want. This is what the people want. Domain are onto a good thing. They've got their early access, Domain early access. That's another good one, guys. If you're a buyer, get onto Domain early access as agents. I put stuff on there often.
Yep.
So you'll hear about that stuff first. It will alert you for 24 hours only. That's another really good hot tip as well.
But the seller doesn't have to pay the $2,000 or $3,000 to put it on domain.
Yep, correct.
The agent puts it on for free, and then it goes out to the domain buyer database.
Correct. That's a huge one. Guys, I think we've solved all the problems of the world with off-market, pre-market. Hope everyone's had an awesome long weekend. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Minute silence for Gladys.
I know.
Oh my God.
I did like her. What, I mean,
yeah, good.
Just on that, and I think I put a link. I put a LinkedIn post up, which has now gone viral, and everyone's so divided on their stuff. But at the end of the day, that woman turning up at 11 o'clock with her frazzled hair, and she looked like she was holding back tears most of the time. Good luck to her. I don't think anyone would swap shoes with her.
And thank you very much, Lisa Novak, who is definitely my wife and not my sister, for the lovely lady that was inquiring.
Thank you. See you guys. Have a great week.
Love you, Sarah. Bye.